In a distant kingdom, a kind and benevolent king and queen lived in a beautiful castle. After many years of longing for a child, their wish was granted when they had a baby girl with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. They named her Snow White. Tragically, the queen died shortly after giving birth, leaving the king heartbroken. He remarried a woman who was beautiful but possessed a wicked heart. The new queen was vain and wicked. She owned a magical mirror that she consulted daily, asking it who was the fairest in the land. For many years, the mirror always responded that the queen was the fairest. However, as Snow White grew older, her beauty surpassed that of the queen. One day the mirror declared, "You, my queen, are fair, it is true. But Snow White is even fairer than you." Consumed by jealousy, the queen decided she must eliminate Snow White to remain the fairest. The queen ordered a huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. She instructed him to bring back Snow White's heart as proof of her death. However, the huntsman, feeling pity for the innocent girl, could not carry out the cruel order. He begged Snow White to flee and never return to the castle. Snow White, terrified, ran deep into the forest. Exhausted and scared, Snow White stumbled upon a small, charming cottage. The inside was tidy and inviting, but Snow White was too tired to care. She fell asleep on one of the 7 small beds. When the 7 dwarfs who lived in the cottage and worked in the mines returned home, they were astonished to find Snow White sleeping in their beds. When Snow White awoke, she explained her story to the dwarfs. They were moved by her plight and offered her shelter. Grateful, Snow White agreed to stay and take care of the cottage. She cleaned, cooked, and made the dwarfs' home a warm and happy place. The dwarfs, in turn, protected Snow White and warned her of the dangers of the outside world. Determined to kill Snow White, the evil queen disguised herself as an old peddler woman and visited the dwarfs' cottage. She offered Snow White a beautiful enchanted comb. When Snow White tried the comb, she fell unconscious from the spell. The dwarfs returned just in time to remove the comb and revive Snow White with their magic. They warned her to be cautious of strangers. The queen was enraged by her failure and devised a new plan. She disguised herself as a merchant selling apples and visited the cottage again. This time she presented a shiny, red apple. Snow White, unaware of the danger, took a bite and immediately fell into a death-like sleep. The dwarfs found her and, unable to awaken her, placed her in a glass coffin in the woods. News of Snow White's fate spread throughout the kingdom, reaching the ears of a handsome prince who had fallen in love with her from a distance. The prince visited the glass coffin and was struck by Snow White's beauty. He gently kissed her, and by the magic of true love's kiss, Snow White awoke from her enchanted slumber. With Snow White revived, the prince took her back to his kingdom. They were married in a grand ceremony, celebrated with joy and splendor. The dwarfs were invited to the wedding and rejoiced in their friends' happiness. The wicked queen, learning of Snow White's revival and marriage, became furious. She attended the wedding in disguise but was recognized by the people. Her evil deeds were revealed, and she was banished from the kingdom. Her malevolent reign came to an end, and peace was restored. Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after in their beautiful kingdom. The dwarfs continued to visit them, and the kingdom prospered in peace and joy. Snow White's story became a timeless tale of kindness, bravery, and the triumph of good over evil.